We're about a month into the VCT 2025 season. We're about to head into our first international tournament of the year, VCT Masters Bangkok. But before we head into that tournament, I figured we would highlight 3 players that I think have been surprising in a good way this year. We will be looking at one player in 3 different regions, Americas, EMEA, and Pacific. So let's jump right into it and talk about these players. So this is the board we have today. We will be slowly revealing these players, and as you can see below me, these stats are being compared to other players in those regions that have played a minimum of 100 rounds. So starting with the Americas region, we will be talking about a player that is not attending Bangkok, but I think still had a very solid kickoff tournament, and that is a player from MIBR. We're talking about Jenim today. Jenim is 1 out of 2 rookies that MIBR have on the roster this year. Both him and Cortesia added to this roster, with 2 veterans in Ospas and Nazwar, and Artson, a player that's also been around for a little bit. So the main question for this new MIBR roster was, can these new rookies pull their weight and allow Ospas, Nazwar, and Artson to continue their strong play and not have to have Ospas carrying all the time? And while that definitely did happen with MIBR, Ospas definitely got them a lot of wins. The 2 rookies did perform quite well, and it's one of the main reasons why they ended up placing 3rd at the kickoff. In the offseason event that MIBR played, Cortesia seemed to be the better rookie. He had a very solid headshot percentage, and he was very good in that tournament, while Jenim was good but not overly impressive or anything. But at the kickoff tournament, Jenim definitely outplayed Cortesia. Not that it's a competition, they're on the same team, but I definitely liked what I saw from him a lot more. He's not the flashiest player, but I think he performed quite well for this team. In terms of kills, deaths, and assists, he had 247 kills, 240 deaths, 155 assists for a KD ratio of 1.03. He was also +7, and his KD ratio is 16th in the region, so he is in the upper half of the league. And he is 16th in KD ratio when compared to those other players, so he's almost top 10. Pretty impressive there. In terms of ACS, it's not the best. He does rank 35th with an ACS of 182.6, so that's not fantastic, but you're not looking for him to have the most crazy ACS, especially considering that he was a smokes player at kickoff. So having this ACS and a very solid KD ratio for that role, that's definitely impressive. In terms of APR, which is assists per round, he did rank 6th in that category with 0.42. Assists aren't the most important stat, but it definitely shows how he is helping out his teammates quite a bit, whether it be losing a trade but still getting damage on the opposing player, or using util to get damage on him. Those are definitely useful things. So him almost being top 5 in that category, maybe that's because of Ospas, that's definitely possible, but still, it's a high number. Thought I would put it down. One number that he's definitely very high on is the amount of 3Ks that he got. So rounds where he had 3 kills, he had 18 of them, which ties for 2nd in the entire Americas. And the players that he's tied with are Zekin and his teammate Cortesia. So being tied with Zekin in that category, that's definitely impressive. And in terms of clutches, while he doesn't have the best clutch percentage, he does have the most amount of clutches. At least he is tied for it in the region at 9, being tied with Shy for that top spot. So these stats look more like a seasoned VCT pro than it does a rookie finding his way. They're not the most fantastic stats, but they're very respectable, and he's high up in some of those really important categories. Definitely love the fact that he is getting all those 3 kills. He is doing a very good job at getting those big plays. Really helps out a player like Ospas, who is relied on to get most of the kills, but when you have someone on your team that can be doing this, that is very good for him, very helpful. Definitely like what I'm seeing, and if he's only going to get better from here, then he's going to be a very good player, a very scary player to play against in the near future, but we will see how the rest of his year goes. Moving on to the Pacific region, we have yet another rookie to talk about, but this rookie is actually going to Bangkok, and that is Freen. Man, Freen ended up being a very impressive player in the Pacific this year. Being one of the new additions to DRX, he was IGLing for them in the offseason, and then apparently Mako didn't like his calling style, so they just gave it back to Mako. And being IGL or not being the IGL, his performance seems to be very good either way. He was playing Taeho the entire time, and he might end up being the best Taeho in the entire world by the end of Bangkok. Some people already arguing that for him, but I want to wait until he's played against international competition before I make that claim. A lot of really good players playing Taeho. Very interested to see what we see with that character at Bangkok. But either way, Freen being one of the new additions to DRX, DRX. I was definitely a bit low on DRX heading into the season. Not saying that they didn't have a good team or anything, but they're bringing in some of these rookies. Maybe they take a minute to get, accustomed to the new tier 1 play. But Freen, nope, didn't take him long at all. He had 241 kills, 195 deaths, 70 assists. He was plus 46 on the kickoff. Very impressive number there, and he was 4th in KD ratio with a 1.24. In terms of ACS, he ended up ranking 8th in that category with 222.2, a lot of 2s. And in terms of kills per round, he ended up ranking 6th in that category with 0.81. He is actually tied for 6th. My apologies on that. He is tied with Buzz. And in terms of overall rating, he is 5th in the entire region as well with a 1.16. So these numbers are fantastic. This looks like a guy that's played in the VCT for a long time. However, this is a player that has made his way through tier 2. He played on Rare Atom last year, a Chinese tier 2 team. That team lost in the Ascension Grand Final, so that was a pretty solid tier 2 team that he was a part of. And the year before that, he was on a team called D+ Esports, so he eventually makes his way onto the DRX squad. DRX seems to be very good at scouting out young Korean talent. This guy looks like an absolute steal right now, and one of the main reasons why DRX has had this resurgence and finally won a regional trophy. Man, to do it with that roster instead of the roster that was on that team for a very long time, that's a bit heart-wrenching, but Freen eventually got this team what they needed. Not to say he was the only one playing well, because the whole roster was playing great, but Freen was a very welcome addition. Moving on to the EMEA region, we have a player that isn't a rookie, but the player that we are talking about is from another team with a lot of blue in their logos and jerseys. I'm of course talking about Kiko of Team Liquid. So Kiko joined Team Liquid for the 2024 season, a season that did not go very well for that team. As their main duelist player last year, the team did not find a lot of success. Kiko himself was good, but nothing fantastic. However, this year, with Team Liquid's rejuvenated roster, they look fantastic. It's really weird because early in the EMEA kickoff tournament, it seemed like they were just playing poorly, but still winning. And then by the end of it, they absolutely annihilate Team Heretics, and then they move on to the grand final and almost sweep Vitality. They did get reverse swept, so that's kind of funny, and I'm mad at them for beating Heretics, but Kiko has been very impressive. Just look at these kills, deaths, and assists. 436 kills, 325 deaths, 149 assists. He was plus 111. I don't think I've ever seen a plus 111 in any tournament that I've seen. I'm sure there's been some, at least similar, maybe players like Ospos and whatnot, but Kiko just seems so far and ahead everybody in terms of these kills and deaths. He has a KD ratio of 1.34, that is first in the entire region. Absolutely insane numbers from a guy who's mostly playing smokes. He's still playing duelist a little bit, but mostly on the smokes role. And the rest of his stats are absolutely insane. He has an ACS of 239.5, that is 4th in the region. He has a kills per round of 0.88, that is 3rd. In terms of first kills, he had 53, so that makes him 3rd in the region, and again, he's not only playing duelist, he's mostly playing smokes and still getting the first kill all the time. And he had a headshot percentage of 40%, which is 3rd in the region. I'm kind of surprised it's not 1st, but it is 3rd. Especially considering how many matches Team Liquid ended up playing. They did win their first match, but then they immediately get knocked down to the lower bracket. So they had to make their way all through that lower bracket to be able to qualify for Bangkok. So I think that's the maximum amount of matches that any team could have possibly played. And that's why he has so many kills. However, usually you see the deaths also go up, and they did, but 325, I had to check that a couple times because plus 111 is absolutely insane. This man just was not dying, and he was just getting every kill that he could see. So in my opinion, he's definitely been the main reason why Team Liquid ended up qualifying for Bangkok. I don't know if this performance is sustainable. We usually don't see numbers like this. I look at stats a lot, so I see where things kind of average out, which is why it's really fun when a player like Kiko ends up having these insane stats, because there's just such an anomaly. And again, for a player who was okay last year, but on a bad team, and now he switches roles, he's just fit in so well so far. Oh, and one more stat I forgot to mention, he is 1st in rating as well with a 1.26. Just for comparison, the next one up is Mini with 1.18, which also means he's above Durka, which was a 1.12. So yeah, this guy was above some pretty good players. As I said, I don't know if this performance ends up being sustainable. I do expect these numbers to average out. And Team Liquid in general, I don't know how I see them doing at Bangkok. While Kiko did have an insane performance, the rest of their players in terms of stats, they're okay, but they're not fantastic. And these are definitely some performances that we haven't seen from these players before, but they are going to get international experience. Nats and Panatek being the more experienced players on this roster, maybe they can help Kiko maintain this high performance, but we will see. It's going to be very interesting to see how the European teams do, especially Team Liquid, them being a team that no one expected to be here. Either way, Kiko has been very impressive lately. Excited to see what he can do on the international stage. So that is everything I have to talk about today. Let me know in the comment section down below, what are your most surprising players? Who surprised you the most? Who's disappointed you the most? I did that video as well, so you can go check that one out. Please click like and subscribe if you enjoyed this video. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you guys next one. Bye.